And we are live. All right.
And it says talking with Andy movies are terrible is live.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to the Weekly Pop Podcast. I'm Jeremy. Movies are terrible. Thank you guys so much for stopping by for another special. This time I am here with comic artist Andy Childress, Bubba World Comics, the website. Head over and check out Bubba World Comics X.com. Archives and archives stuff on there. Andy, I appreciate you coming by to talk with me.
Cool. This is cool.
It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time ever.
Yep.
Actually, me and Andy go back. We met each other through the convention circuit.
Yep.
In Artist Alley. I think every time I see you, you've got a booth in Artist Alley and are, showing off the cool comic strips that you're working on.
Usually. Yep.
Today, both of us got our shirts on. And,
Yeah.
We did book early. It's one out of, I don't know, hundreds, several different, but hundreds and hundreds of different comics that he's doing. So, talk to me, man. What got you started into pursuing this?
Well, I started drawing when I was 1.
Yeah.
And when I was 3, I got interested in comics. When I was 6, I realized there was words in them. But these were like Sunday funnies. I would lay in the floor when I was 3 with the Sunday funnies over there, and I'd have my little drawing board Daddy made for me lay in the floor. And I would imitate what I saw over here on paper. And so by 3, I knew I wanted to get into comics. So
when you were looking at those, what were some of the ones that really like resonated?
Well, of course, Snoopy, Peanuts. And that was the main one. But stuff like and Hagar the Horrible.
Very cool.
And Snuffy Smith. And then as the years went by, Garfield, Garfield. And later on, after I got older, Arlo and Janice.
See, I'm not familiar with
y'all gotta look it up because he's nationally syndicated. But what was funny was I always read it and thought he was like in New England. Turned out he was in Pass Christian, Mississippi.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Yeah, and then he moved to Alabama after Katrina, and he was actually a guest at my Backwards Festival that I had. And he told me, he said, syndicates despised anything identifiably Southern.
Huh.
So that explained why his looked like a New England player. Because his characters always talking about boating and this and that, and I just the way it read, I just assumed it was a family in New England.
And so you think that he intentionally disguised the Southern thing because you thought that it was brow or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like Snuffy Smith, got in before all that, and so it's always just there. And that sort of helped me decide. Well, I decided on the path of self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Screw everybody else. I'd do it my own damn way.
Absolutely, and you have embraced Southernness of the Bubba world. If that's not a clear indicator, and I love it. A caveman series. What's it called?
Dawn of Time, but the main character is Bubba the Caveman.
Okay.
And his great-grandfather, Paw Bubba, and Milo the Ape is his best friend, and they just I even rednecked up cavemen. and it's funny. I've even got a alien two grays that were studying the caveman. And I have the Space Rednecks, in another strip. And I actually got one of the aliens in the caveman strip is now on the spaceship as an ancient gray alien because he's been protecting the line of Bubbas all this time.
Nice. So you mentioned a couple titles that you have. What was the first one that you kind of put into a series that were maybe the character that's
Mississippi Swamp Dragons, which, as the title suggests, is about a psychotic chicken in a floppy ear hat and a pessimistic clown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I drew the chicken by mistake. 30, well, it's going on 33 and a half years. Well, now in March, it'll be 34 years. Herman has been around, Herman the psychotic chicken. Mm-hmm. And I drew him for art class in 9th grade. Art teacher wanted something Easterly, so I drew Herman just out of the blue. And he said, and I said, what about the Easter Bunny? And he said, that's a chicken in a floppy ear hat. And I said, he thinks he's the Easter Bunny. And it took me a few years. I drew him off and on, but I couldn't figure out what to do with him because I didn't have the perfect setting. I drew an ape. It did not mesh. You know, I tried it out. I just played with them off and on during high school. And later, I was watching David Letterman. Have you ever seen Happy the Clown? He used to have this clown come out, and it was Happy the Clown. He just sit down. What's up, Dave? He says, Happy, how are you? Oh, I'm not so good. My back hurts. You know how hard it is sleeping on a park bench? And I said, okay, there we go. So I came up with Knothead the pessimistic clown. He wasn't as down as Happy. He's more like Stephen Wright with a clown outfit.
Okay.
Yeah. And just monotone. And then for a friend, me and my brother came up with the Swamp Dragons because they lived in Nanawaya, which is in the corner of the county. And we was talking about the Nanawaya Caves and the Nanawaya Swamp Dragons and how they come out and eat your teddy bears and crush your Easter eggs and this and that. And then I got to thinking they would make some cool characters. So Herman lives with the Swamp Dragons, and it was going to be Nanawaya Swamp Dragons, but I couldn't spell Nanawaya. Nobody outside of Winston County could pronounce it looking at it. So I went with Mississippi.
Yeah, it's hard to market something that nobody knows how to spell.
Exactly.
Well, that's fantastic. So when did you realize that you need to be completely out of your mind to be a comic illustrator?
It was early on. Probably by age 4.
Okay.
5. Yeah, I've never had any bouts of sanity for very long.
Yeah, hey, I can relate. I think it is thinking about the creative world that we put ourselves into. You know, crazy does help out. So.
Yeah.
Kind of on a technical level, talking to viewers who don't know anything about how to compose and create a narrative, or you have like a formula for how you see the panels? Do you do a rough draft ahead of time? Break down the process to me.
Well, years ago, the great comic book store, Gundog Comics, that was in the next town where I used to get my comics at, showed me these books I used to get, and it was called Comics Profile. And it was mainly based off of your Sunday comic type people, your newspaper comics, which is what I was really more interested in at the time. And it told how big they made their panels, which was 4 inches by 13 inches, and double it for a Sunday strip and this and that. And I would do it on 11 by 17 paper. And over the years, it dawned on me, especially I drew tons of comics before I ever published my first paper. And long before I started the website, I just had a stockpile. And after I started publishing my own thing, I realized I don't have to go by their rules. So I started tweaking it, and it eventually became 11 by 17, and I would come in a 1/2 inch And if it was 1 or 6 panels, it took up the whole thing. But I would have to reduce it on the uptown on a copy machine to fit on a piece of paper I could scan. So now, over years of trial and error, I now do 8.5 by 11 cardstock. If it's one panel, it's the whole thing. Like here's an example. Here's one panel is the whole thing, or 4 panels, 3 across the. No, that's 2. And it just there's one I did earlier that was actually 4 panels. Yeah, I started inking it in. 3 across the top, 1 across the bottom, and that I can scan and not have to reduce anything. And when I publish it, 2 of these make an 11 by 17.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I just open up my page in the computer and I drop one in and drop one below it, and two will make one page. That has made my life so much simpler. And this notebook, I don't know. Yeah. Dead in Space. This notebook is where I write all my strips.
Okay.
And because it's me reading my own scripts, I just put a P for panel and an initial for the character, and I just write their dialogue. Occasionally, very, very few times, I will actually doodle something that's new that I want to remember how it looks.
Yeah, sure.
The rest, and one of my strips I was writing yesterday, I will around the. Well, I can't get it out from under all the crap. I have papers laying around. I'll just doodle and write ideas, but I don't write the whole strip. I just write random things. So on this piece of paper, you see Fire Safe written. You see Tom Baker and Leela written. And then over in the corner, you see medication isn't keeping the voices quiet anymore. So if someone was to walk in and just see that doodled on something, they don't know it's a comic strip.
Exhibit A, they're gonna think you're fucking crazy, or they're gonna know you're crazy.
Well, they probably know anyway if they came over here, if they knew me well enough to know where I live.
That's interesting. I wasn't aware of your process, to that extent. So when you're taking the notes, you're basically just getting enough down that
Yeah.
trying to get at. So
yeah.
Obviously, when you're talking about newspaper comic strips and things like that, it is pared down to most fundamental because it's typically a very short.
Yeah.
And, so when you have this dialogue, characters, what are the in that dialogue you're hoping to catch? You get what I'm saying? Of what you're getting when you write that.
Yeah, it basically the punchline is probably the most important. Like literally in this one, I did Herman across the top, and he it's a fire safe, and he just opens it up, and there's a fire in it, slams it shut, and that's Knothead's house. And he goes, there's a fire in your fire safe. He said, you do realize this is a clown's house, right?
Nice.
Now, what else is a clown going to keep in a fire safe?
Yeah. And so you couldn't probably pull that off with one less panel, but you would think you could maybe add more panels onto it to make a point.
I could, it's always easy to add more. I mean, if I wanted to do it in one panel, I just have the fire safe open in the background.
Of course, yeah.
But I like there's some artists that'll say, well, is it sequential art if it's only one panel?
Yeah. Well, and
that
back to Gary Larson, who was one of my all-time favorites.
Yes.
Far Side guy, and it was always one panel, and it was always very. just condensed down to the essence of what it needed to be. And
yes,
one of the artists that stuck with me for a long time. And upon speaking with you, those are the guys that I go to, is the Schultz and the
yeah,
Northfield. I can't think of it right now.
Jim Davis.
Yeah, Jim Davis, of course. So those are the three kind of artists. Those are probably the ones that get referenced the most, huh?
And Bill Watterson.
Okay.
You know who Bill Watterson is? Calvin and Hobbes.
Of course. Another comic series. Yeah.
Yes. Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes are probably my two favorite after they started. Because when I was really little, they wasn't there yet. As they came along, that was two of my favorites. I was getting their collection books. And the Far Side, the funny thing is everybody talks about how simple his art is. And honestly, I think his humor worked better because of the simple art.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are professional cartoonists that will tell you that you can have immaculate drawing with a crappy story, and you'll come out better with a crappy drawing with, just great writing.
Do you subscribe to that school of thought?
Actually, I do. I try to, do the great drawing too, but I will say that if the drawing is less and the writing is better, you're going to be better off than if the drawing is great and the writing sucks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can agree with that. Cartoonists and artists have a very specific style, and I was talking about pared down to the most essential elements of it. I think great jokes are kind of told the same way.
Yeah.
10 minutes long and elaborate, you're already losing half the listeners, so you want to get in, make it out. And I think that's something that people really respond to when it does come to comic strips.
Yeah, and when I did my magazine that I do monthly, the Bubba World Comic Magazine, I put a comic section, and I started it off with half the magazine was a Space Redneck's ongoing serial adventure, humorous. But now it is all 6 titles again, just 2 each, and it's just one-shot gags. But I'm going to come out with a Space Redneck's graphic novel that fills in the story between where it stopped and where it's at now in the gag comics.
Very cool.
And because it was fun, but I was really missing just doing the gag comics like that.
Well, that's kind of what initially pulled you into it, huh?
Yeah, it is.
So I'm looking at your bookshelf, and it's on the top shelf. It's got a double-stacked red plus on it. That's almost an omnibus, right? You've got a lot of your comics featured in that.
Oh yeah, and this one. This is one, and I've got a 2 out already. It's about 100 pages, and I'm trying to see where I'm seeing.
There they are.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And the over the years, the style has changed. I've got a galactic. I was trying to look at how I did some of this. Yeah, because I've even put advertising in my book.
Okay. Yeah, great local
store.
Yep,
3 Alarm is awesome. But over the years, I did a Gas Giant, 2 volumes, 350 pages each. And it collects everything before the 2 omnibuses.
Holy cow.
And it's 700 pages of comics, but you literally see the evolution from first to last and how it changed over the years.
Well, and even season 1 of a show like The Simpsons or season 2 like Family Guy, the formula sort of remains the same. I'd venture as far as to say it stays the same, but there's a refinement that goes into getting the experience. And that kind of evolution that you're talking about, just subtle tweaks.
Yes. And if you watch The Simpsons on the Tracy Ullman show,
totally different looking characters.
Yeah. But you can go look at the very first Peanuts and the very first Garfield and see a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you look at the first 28 comic strips of Mississippi Swamp Dragons, my first question is why you're in my computer, because I've never published them. They're horrible. And the 28th strip and the 29th strip look like two different people did them.
Really?
Yes, because that's when I was still working with the assumption that I might get in syndicated one day, and I was working by their standards, and they needed a month's worth to see what it was like, and 4 of them had to be Sunday strips and this and that. And I came up with Quick Appliance Repair, which is about 2 idiot brothers who work for their dad in the appliance business. By the way, me and my brother used to work for our dad in the appliance business behind my house. And I got into doing that and just put Herman to the side. So I worked on that for a year. And then I missed Herman, and I said, there's no reason I can't do both. But I never picked up the original 28. I just started drawing. I never looked at them. If I'd have picked them up and looked at them, it'd probably look a whole lot different. But I used the year of doing Quick Appliance Repair regularly influenced the 29th strip of Herman. So it had all the evolution, but it's missing an evolutionary link.
If you will. Yeah, sure.
Yes, Quick Appliance Repair is the missing link to Herman's evolution.
So we touched on a little bit about the evolution of the character from issue to issue, essentially, or from strip to strip. But what about trying to maintain consistency within the same comic?
Captain Geezer of the Space Time Patrol is the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a time traveler in a box that is not bigger on the inside. It literally looks like just a box with a windshield and wings. Him and his robot and whatever companions. His arch nemesis, Major Evil, is in a porta potty time machine that is very cramped. But I would never draw the inside of the ship very often. And it might be a year or two before I drew the ship again. I would draw the outside of the ship over and over and over. Occasionally they were inside. And I was sitting at my desk, computers way on the other side of the room. I was going to have to go through archives to find what I drew just at a spur of a moment. I didn't put any thought into the design of his control board. I just drew it in that strip. And I did not want to walk across the room. And I did not want to search for all that. I had stuff to do, and I said, I need to get this strip done. So I said, if it's going to be wrong, it's going to be as wrong as I can make it. If I gave him a light control button control dashboard with lights to push, he now has a captain steering wheel. And every time I drew it, I drew something totally different from what I had before. And then one day, years later, just for fun, I had one of his companions, and it was Space Shots. And he asked why he had a captain steering wheel when the week before it was something else. And I came up with the word, I may have to look it up, but it was like holographic transmogrification. The ship had holographic transmogrification, and he left it set on random. So he said it's just, the ship keeps constantly redesigning itself. So I wrote into the strip why I don't have to be consistent with that. And he used the comment, said, there may be an antique sofa in the back for y'all to sit on, or next time it may be a discotheque. And then you see the wide screen of Zoe and the bot dancing in the disco ball and the checkered floor and the lights reflecting. That was going to be my next question: is why is there a discotheque in the back of the ship?
Yeah, that's a cool workaround. In the world of sci-fi, I guess in the world of comics in general, you can write yourself making those situations humorous, which sounds like exactly what you did, and that's cool. Yeah, of all of the comic strips that I've seen that you do, I do Space Aliens. What's the name of that comic strip with aliens in it? Redneck Aliens, right?
Oh, Space Rednecks.
Space Rednecks. Yeah, I love those characters. I love those characters. And as a matter of fact, if you guys want to check out some of his stuff, obviously I mentioned Bubba World Comics, but then there's also wcdigital.wordpress.com, and there's
Yeah.
a whole stuff on there as well. A bunch of the cool stuff that I was referring back to as we're talking. Like there's the Flash and Area 51, just a couple that you should keep an eye out for because it's super funny. But when you look back, Andy, what are the ones that you have the most of a fondness or the most of a connection to?
What I like is when I'm reading some strips I haven't seen in years, and therefore, and it varies from strip to strip, and I'll just start rereading some, and I'll burst out laughing. And my first thought, I would have never thought of that. No, wait, I did. It's mine, and it's the ones that make me laugh again that I really like. Like I know everybody's. There's an early Herman strip. I've done it as a painting, and I've and different times, and but it's her, and I've even did a short animated thing on YouTube using cardboard cutouts and magnets. I called it Bubba World Comics Low Budget Cartoon Theater. And basically, it's Herman walking into a room and Knothead saying, "Hey, Herman, I'm going to show you a new trick I learned. I'm going to pull a hat out of this rabbit."
God.
Yeah, and you see the rabbit's head, but not the body. You just see his arm down here, and all of a sudden the eyes get real big. In the last panel, the rabbit's unconscious on the floor. He's got a top hat that is just crumpled to hell and back. And he's saying the problem is it ruins the hat and renders the rabbit unconscious. And that's just been like, that's the one when I met Arlo and Janice creator, Jimmy Johnson, in Jackson for the first time. I had some Xeroxed in my pocket, and I was going through the gallery looking at his stuff, and I met him. I was the first one there, so we got to talking and this and that. And I said I was a cartoonist, and he said, I'd like to see some of your stuff. And I just pulled out a bunch of Xeroxes, said, and folded up and said, "Here, take these with you. You can look at them later." And he said, "Oh, that's great. You thought ahead." And he stuck them in his pocket. And somebody else came up, so I went to looking around, and about 30 minutes later, I heard somebody just laughing their butt off. So my thought was, I want to read that comic strip.
Oh, no.
I turned around, and it was Jimmy Johnson in the middle of the room by himself reading my stuff. And he saw me, and he walked over. He said, "Well, that's the best compliment I can give you, is it made me laugh out loud." And I saw it was that strip I described was the one on the page. We got to talking a lot then, because he said, "Yeah, you don't know how many people come in and say, 'Oh, here's my daughter's strip. Read it right now and tell me how funny it is.'" I gave it to him and walked away. And but it's just I forget what tangent I went off on. What was the original?
But I was actually going to bring it back around to that. Like, obviously, people respond to everything. I mean, humor is something that's very subjective. When you give a random con goer something, or they pick up one of your comic strips and they read it, what is the ideal? We got to take laughing out loud out of it, because that's the obvious thing. What are you looking for to know that you did your job?
Actually, they had a very small library con in Van Cleve, Mississippi. It was just the library puts on this thing yearly. It's a taste for what a con might have for people who've never been to a con. And Brian King lives in Van Cleve, so I stay with him and Monica, and we go and support this thing. And we didn't even know what it was the first time. We thought it might have been a talk or something, but they set it up like a little mini con. Stephen Butler was there because he lives right there, 30 minutes north of it. And I was putting out my stuff, and I wrote a sci-fi novel, and I self-published it. And I was wanting to do it as a graphic novel, and I said, I ain't got time for that. So I just published it as a novel. But I've been drawing the characters, and I've got one of the characters right here, and I did him a little more cartoony, and I like it better that way. That's a Shakari.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah. And these were a little more serious. And I did the Keeper of Time, which was this ancient looking, wispy haired thing with a black robe tattered and had the universe in his robe.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl come up probably like 17 or 18, and she was looking, and she just went straight to that. It was 11 by 17. Said, "What is that?" And I told her, and she goes, "Oh, that's one of yours?" And I said, "Yeah, this is one of my characters." And she just amazed, and I think she was wanting to get into creating. And she said, "So you're selling this?" And I said, "Yeah, $25." And she just went to throwing out money. And I said, "Yes." And you don't get that at the big cons as much because those people are in a zombie horde, shuffling around, waiting for the first shiny object they already recognize to catch their eye. And I'm the one cartoonist that is trying his best not to do copyright infringing stuff. Which I may break that rule this year just to make some money.
It's unbelievable. And that brings up a whole other topic altogether. But mind blowing that so many artists get in trouble for doing commissions and things like that of other people's work. But yet at the same time, there's some vendor 4 booths over that's selling refrigerator magnets and printouts and every damn thing else. Batman and the most iconic superheroes, and you just wonder how is that acceptable? How is that okay? You know they're not licensed, they're having a
Yeah,
or something.
it's not. They're too scattered to now. I have a friend, I'm not going to call his name, but he did a lot of prints of little cutesy stormtroopers at a con, and it was at a bigger con, and he was selling these until a representative of George Lucas walked up to his table and said, "They need to go under the table or you need to leave the con." And so he put them under the table. He quit selling them. He just happened to be at a con with the right person that actually had authority over it. And
But then at the same time, I've heard that I don't know why this is. This is probably getting into a little bit of inside baseball for those of you guys who aren't super familiar with the con circuits. But for some reason, I think conditions that you're individually selling one piece of art to a con goer is okay if they request a certain character. However, if you replicate it and try to sell prints of that said character is when you start to get into the unethical side of the equation.
yeah, that's it exactly. It's they sort of look at the other as like you just drawing it 101. They know you're not going to make a lot of money off of that, just one at a time, and it's sort of like advertising them, their product, and also it sort of gives them a bad face if they come after the guy just doing that little bit,
Sure.
At one time. But now if someone's mass marketing their product, then they don't look like the bad guy going after them. Or if someone's taking the Hulk and making him just because somebody got this, it was on a line selling prints of the Hulk, and I ain't even gonna describe what they had him doing. And I don't know if it was Marvel or Disney that came after him, and he stopped real quick because that's that would be considered where like this is parody.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's covered. But if you do it in such a way that it harms the initial character, then they can come after you.
Interesting. See, and that's another. We're talking about fair use and parody and the way that fair use protects parody, but then it seems so relative to what's portraying the characters in a favorable light versus what is diminishing the value of the character. So I think that's interesting. One thing that I've wondered is, how do you think Neil Adams feels when there's a guy 2 booths down selling the print of one of the panels that he actually drew or something like that, you know?
Oh yeah, something like that. And see, that's the other thing. You've got the artists that work on the books that sort of have like a understanding that they can make prints of characters they don't own because they work on the properties. But then, yeah, like you said, somebody like, or even worse, somebody, I know there was one guy that was taking actual artwork and putting it in his computer, throwing some splatter effects to it, and then selling the print saying, oh, this is my artwork.
That's not good. That's where it gets very.
Yep.
So, yeah, I do want to move on to some kind of pop culture stuff that we can talk about. But before, if I were an aspiring comic illustrator or comic artist, what advice would you give to me as far as pursuing it or how to get started?
With the internet and self-publishing and print on demand, I would go into just start drawing your comic, put it on a website, because then you can start getting exposure as you're working on it. And then as you look into what you need to know as far as sizes and whatnot, you know, so when you do print it, you can self-publish and you don't have to buy books. You know, you can buy like a handful of books to have at a con, but you don't have to stockpile them because people can buy them online.
Yes, absolutely.
And get them printed, and then when they sell it, they collect the money, they print it, they mail it, and then they give you your little bit of profit that you marked on it, but all the headaches gone. And do that, and then if someone big picks you up later, you know, that's even more better. But and
I want to go back around to something you mentioned earlier about your personal experience. Do you think that keeping a handful of Xerox copies of your script, going to a local convention, finding a guy that you respect or admire, putting it in their hand personally, do you think that that's a good strategy, or do you think that's overstepping the line?
not really, because there's a lot of people at cons that sometimes will say, hey, you know, they'll promote it and say, hey, bring your portfolio by or something. But the having a Xerox that you can leave with them crumpled up, you know, folded up, is better than becoming a booth barnacle.
Yeah.
where you obstruct his traffic and don't allow anybody to come buy his product.
So for those of you guys who may not know the term, he basically just described it, but booth barnacles are the fans that want to sit and connect with you on a super deep personal level while you're there trying to sell merchandise, essentially. I think that any artist would appreciate the acknowledgement. They would appreciate you saying, hey, I'm doing your work, but you got to move on. At some point, you're slowing down traffic. People are trying to make money for this short amount of time.
Yeah.
Rented out the booth space, so always be aware of that. But yeah,
I
think that would probably be my approach, because we do so many cons. It's like,
yeah,
hiring podcasters. What am I going to do? I'm going to go find the guys with the Weekend Geek. They've got a podcast on the radio out of New Orleans, so I'm going to go and talk to them. And if you have relationships with these people, I think conventions are a great place and a great way to do that.
Yeah, and you can watch it. You know, if people come up, you just say, I'm going to get out of the way for a minute and just step back. And when it slows down, nobody's there, step back. They will appreciate that more and probably talk to you more because you did that.
Absolutely.
So I do that with the Doctor Who panels when I do my interviews with the puppet. You know, I make sure I'm not obstructing anybody buying something. And the last one, when I was getting number 7, I just went and interviewed his companion first, because which I was buying stuff from him too, because somebody was up there. But it turned out I got out of the way for Booth Barnacle.
Oh, nice.
yeah, they didn't buy a ding dang thing. And they was just there taking up time. And the bad thing is I was right there, and before I could say anything, they just come up and cut in front of me, and there was nobody behind me. The line hadn't even started yet. But I knew I was going to be doing more than just buying something, so I just stepped over to the other one that I had to interview anyway. And I was thinking, oh, you didn't even buy nothing.
Of course. So we're going to talk to Roscoe soon. Here's my next interview. I love that guy. Is he close?
Yeah, hold on. He's right here.
To introduce you guys to our good friend Roscoe. This is Andy's partner. Been working, collaborating with him for quite some time.
Hello. How are y'all doing?
There's Roscoe.
How are you, Jeremy?
Glad to have you on the show. It's been a little while.
Yes. I sleep a lot.
Me and you both, brother.
Yeah. Now, I can do ventriloquism. I'd rather not. I do puppetry more than ventriloquism. I'm usually in an interview. Hey, I'm like this, and it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine ventriloquism has got to be a whole nother thing.
Oh yes, it's a whole nother thing. I hate it. Yeah, I know.
Not bad at all.
It's just more aggravating.
So, the puppetry industry, I've talked about doing some sort of collaboration.
Yes.
And I've been looking at puppets online. I found some relatively nice ones for about $70.
Oh yeah, this one was 30.
Oh wow.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. And they go back time. Hey Jeremy.
That's
Yeah, this is Ernie, and he's like a full-bodied puppet.
That's the full size. That's what you would get on Sesame Street, huh?
Yeah, it's just I found it in a casino shop. He says, I gotta get back to Bert. He's suffering from jaundice. Yeah, I've got puppets all over this place, but this one, when I find something like this, I grab it. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. Cookie starts with C. Ha. Him and Roscoe sound a lot alike.
So, one of the ones that I like that I've seen the most are like blanks off of it.
Do what?
It's the physical puppet with no descriptive pictures, and you buy the items that you want. And
Yes.
Stuff and kind of customize because I would like something that people haven't seen before. Because
Yeah.
you do like I don't know what the idea is. But in my head, we're doing what you and I are doing right now. We are the puppet to ourselves, right?
Yes.
Tune for that, or if you have any suggestions, let me know because it's something that had a long time interest in everything that they do over at Jim Henson's studio.
Oh yeah. I got Roscoe from Lulu. Not Lulu. Yeah, Luna. Luna's Puppets.
Okay.
It's LUNA''S, but I think it's no apostrophe in the. I think it's literally lunaspuppets.com.
Oh yeah.
He's in Oregon, and he does. And you can actually change the hair color to eye color, and he's got different styles and different shapes, and of course they cost a pretty penny.
That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, damn, Andy, you had it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Roscoe years ago, back when I actually had some money to spend on a puppet.
450. Okay, we got 280 on the low end and 575 on the high end of the homepage. So I'm sure they.
Yeah, Roscoe was 3.
Uh-huh.
Roscoe was 3.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, he's a great looking puppet. We've had him for years too.
Oh yeah, and they were about to do the Jim Henson, or the Creature Shop thing they had on Sci-Fi. He was going to compete on that right when I was getting Roscoe ordered, and $60 extra I think was legs, So I just went with the puppet and the stand, and he wound up. It was like 6 months before I got the puppet, but I never said anything because he put the thing out that he was going to be on that show. So I just figured he's just late. Then I get an email from him saying, "Hey, I'm getting your puppet ready, and you never once hounded me why I'm so late, so I'm throwing in legs for free." Yeah, but that's why Roscoe's got legs.
So, yeah, that's awesome. If you guys would like to see an interview that I did with the special effects artist who was featured on season 4 of Face Off, head over and check that out here on the YouTube channel. It was a really good interview, and he also did the special effects for Gremlins Recall. His name is Eric Fox. Definitely head over and check out Morb FX. He's got a Facebook page as well. So Andy, let's talk a little bit about some of that geek nerd culture. You're familiar with all that stuff, huh?
Yes, I am a breaded geek. I know some geekness.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I did see Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Can you describe it in 3 adjectives? 3 describing words. 83, no wrong. People.
Entertaining. Surprising. Enjoyable.
Okay, you were into it.
I'm not your typical nerd, because when I get to the movie theater, I turn that switch off. And I just go in to enjoy what they did. Cause I figure, why get angry over it? It ain't gonna change anything. Unless, it's something obvious like Jar Jar. But but I turn a lot of that off. And I just go in to enjoy the movie. Like, actually, can we give spoilers away?
Giving spoilers away.
Yes. Like, I didn't like that they killed Luke, but I liked the way they did it.
I did too, a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool when you find out he's just astral projecting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought across the galaxy. I thought that was actually pretty awesome that he could do that.
Absolutely. I was a fan of it. I think version was one of the words that I threw in those 3, because you expect the movie to take a right over and over, and hard left, and a lot of people. What the hell? This is the movie that I thought it was going to be. But in a way, that's kind of what I'm looking for, because if it was a rehash of Empire Strikes Back, we've already seen that before. So
yeah. When people say it's not the movie I was expecting, I'm thinking, why would you want to see what you was expecting?
Why are you expecting anything ahead of time?
Yeah. It's so like, even the DC movies, I know the Batman versus Superman, I just went and enjoyed what they did with it. And even the Justice League, I didn't notice the mustache debacle until I read about it after I saw the movie. There was a lot of people that knew about it and went looking for it. And I'm sure if I went back and looked now, I could probably see it, but I wasn't going to the movie to concentrate on that actor's upper lip. I was watching the scene.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a pretty big thing on the internet for a little while, and I'm sure, like you said, if people weren't looking for it ahead of time, would they have ever noticed? I guess.
Yes.
But so we're pretty early in the year. It's January 7th at the time of the recording. Any New Year's resolutions?
I'm thinking my New Year's resolution is just try to promote, get more people. In fact, I do email subscriptions where I just send out a link to the monthly magazine. And the more people I get subscribed to it, the easier it is to sell ads in it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff that potential sponsors are looking for, to be able to see that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. Great resolution. Shouldn't be one that's like impossible to adhere to either, which is always good.
Yeah, it's Yeah, if I say increase my subscription rate, all I have to do is get one more subscriber this year, and I've increased it.
Well, I'm gonna double check, make sure I am. If not, we can get this out of the way real quick.
I think you are. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, you can email, you can Facebook message me your email, and I've got it alphabetized on my list. So when I see it, all I got to do is scroll down to wherever that it would be, and I'll see if it's there or not. So you don't accidentally get two.
So, who would you want to play you in your podcast?
Oh, that's an easy one. Zach Galifianakis.
I can.
It's funny because when I'm wearing my shades, and before I started going gray hair, if I had shades on, we went to a book signing in Columbus Mall, and I was wearing my shades, and the what's the thing where they go out drinking, the bachelor party? What's the name of that? Yeah, The Hangover. I think was just been out for like a year. And I think I had 17 teeny boppers come by and take their pictures with me because of how much I looked like Zach Galifianakis that day.
That's fantastic.
I was wearing the shades. The gray was down in my beard, and the hair was aloof. And they said, has anyone ever, and I go, 5 times today, you want a picture? They, yeah. And I said, I could have made more money selling Zach Galifianakis photos than I could have selling books. None of us sold books that day. It was Columbus.
You've got a career as a Galifianakis impersonator.
Yeah, so I would say him for my and Jeremy London said I look like the guy from The Office with the beard. Not The Office, Parks and Recreation.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Parks, Rex, beard. I know. Ron Parks got a big, nice mustache. I don't know the guy with the beard.
Well, he might have a mustache. Is at one time he has a beard.
I'm looking at, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, yeah, Jeremy London is always comparing me to him.
You guys don't know, name-dropping actor extraordinaire Jeremy London from Kevin Smith and all that.
Yep.
Probably pretty chummy at this point. Jeremy actually has an acting studio right here on the Gulf Coast, pretty much right between us, I think.
Yeah, it's right there in Biloxi, Ocean Springs area.
And I'm in Pennsylvania, way northwest tip of Florida, and you are in Mississippi.
I'm 4 hours north of Biloxi.
Okay, Hattiesburg?
No, that's like 2 hours north.
Okay, so you're even further north than that.
Yeah. Do you know? Have you ever heard of Mississippi State University? Okay, I'm 30 minutes below it.
Okay, no doubt.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to talk some conventions that we have coming up here momentarily, but what superhero would be the least fun or the most lame to hang out with?
The Wonder Twins.
That's a 2-for-1 too.
Yeah. The monkey probably would be better. Zeke, I'd probably be okay with their little monkey, and we'll just send the Wonder Twins for snacks.
I've never actually seen Wonder Twins in like a comic or anything, only ever from an animated show. So.
Oh, did you hear about the April Fool's joke years ago? They put out and Alex Ross. You know who Alex Ross is? Mm-hmm. He actually did a painting of the Wonder Twins, and they put it out that he was going to do this graphic novel of the Wonder Twins graphic novel, and everybody went apeshit over it. They could not wait for this thing to come out, and this and that. I think it was an article in a magazine or something, and they finally came out. Did y'all not realize this came out in April? This was an April Fool's joke. And it's like we did the one thing nobody would want, but because Alex Ross was doing it, everybody wanted it. I
Alex Ross's work, Justice League covers, stuff that he's done with the whole team on it. Is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that guy. I can imagine we get excited about it.
I was excited. I was wanting the book.
Give me the Wonder Twins.
Yes.
So if you had to fight off a shark or a bear, we'll say a bull shark or a grizzly bear, which would you prefer to be in a fight with?
Oh, water would be a hindrance. Although I do know that if you grab a shark by the tail, they try to get away from you because orcas are their natural enemies, and that's how they attack sharks.
All right.
So they confuse you for an orca if you're grabbing their tail. So it's their instincts to get away. A bear, I could probably pass as one and get by, but I think I'd do better on land with a bear. Plus, I look like a mountain man, so we'd probably fight and then go out for root beers afterwards.
Yeah, I haven't thought about any of that. That's why I your insight on the that is next time buy a bull shark.
Yeah, because you're on the coast, you'd have more chance of that happening.
Yeah, I'm scared as hell of sharks,
dude. Do you know who Brian Blessed is? You remember the Flash Gordon movie? Yeah. Okay, you remember the big bearded guy who played Hawkman, real boisterous voice? He's English, and that's Brian Blessed. And he's like that everywhere. That's just him. And there's a story about him camping. Where are polar bears? North or South Pole? North Pole?
Yeah, we'll say North Pole.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever pole polar bears are at, I think is the North Pole. And he was with the expedition camping, and he was asleep in the tent, and somebody else was in there too, and a polar bear tried to get in their tent. And they yelled at Brian, a polar bear's coming in, said he sat up and punched the bear in the nose, and the bear ran off, and he went back to sleep.
Something like that badass will never happen to me. I will punch that straight in the face, and it will look at me. You are gonna die.
Yes.
To be like, oh, I felt like I just got bit by a gnat.
Yeah.
So we're getting a 2020 battle royale between Godzilla and King Kong. These are the legendary Godzilla and King Kongs. It was a 2014 Godzilla movie. Then Kong Skull Island came out, I think 2017, this past year. So
yeah, and I just saw it.
Who wins?
Who wins? One thing is they're gonna have to scale Godzilla down or King Kong up. If they left it the way it's supposed to be, King Kong as big as he is would be an appetizer. But I'm sure, and they're probably gonna cheese out and do a draw.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's gonna be monsters that show up, and they're gonna tag team these other monsters.
Yeah, they're gonna get in a fight, be hit by other things, and then go out for drinks afterwards.
Yeah. So I kind of like applying this same shark logic that we just had. Think about it. Godzilla's got obviously armored body, tougher to hurt, to penetrate. He's got atomic breath. He's got projectiles. He's got mad range, right?
Yeah.
You're not if we're counting Shin Godzilla, which we're not. But so Godzilla's got a lot of room for him. But what he doesn't have, as far as I know, are opposable thumbs.
Ooh.
Get you a long way in the world, especially when it comes to yielding weapons.
Yes. And everybody forgets that if they remember, he has also Godzuki. And Godzuki.
Reading that from my memory. I don't recall that at all.
I remember that cartoon. Oh, you know they're doing a Planet of the Apes comic book crossover with King Kong.
No, I didn't.
It's something like they go to the Forbidden Zone and cross the water, and they find Skull Island with the last living Kong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know more than that about it, but apparently they're doing that crossover, which I would love to see.
So I am getting where it is the wire right now that Godzilla does have use. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think that Godzilla's held way down. That's going to happen. They're going to make King Kong way bigger, or they're going to just retcon it like the thing didn't happen at the same size. I'm kind of I like those movies.
Oh, I do too. I was looking at the chat just now. My brother chimed in. He said, "Turn up the other guy can't hear the questions."
That's good. Good advice. A little late in the game.
Yeah, I know. I just now saw it. Oh, you hear about the Godzilla anime that Netflix is coming out with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been counting down the days. I don't know when its actual release is, but what's it called? Planet of Monsters.
Yes, they come back after thousands of years. So even if they don't subtitle it in English, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh hell yeah, you love illustrations. So
yes.
With you. Supposedly the biggest Godzilla ever dwarfs every other iteration that we've had. I think Shin was the biggest prior to that. Supposedly he's got some sort of connection to vegetation, like he's a plant or something. I don't know. Before I speculate too much more wildly and get my facts all wrong, I should probably watch the movie.
Yeah.
So, what movie would work better as a musical?
Oh, what movie would work better as a musical?
You throw some musical numbers in it, all of a sudden it just elevates the whole thing.
Well, we know from experience that will not be Spider-Man.
What do you mean? What?
You remember the dance scene?
Yeah.
Sad thing is, that was the best scene in that movie. I love that. It was so wrong that I loved it.
It was like a small glimmer of actual enjoyment in a movie that was otherwise just made you want to smack your face into a wall.
Yes. A musical, I think if they made a 1960 style Batman movie, and they could do musical numbers in that because he already knows the Batootsie.
Yeah. It would almost be like Austin Powers.
Yes.
A little dance at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. To it. So let's see here. What's a thing that's popular now? People are all about it right now, but in 5 years, we're gonna look back on it and we're all gonna be incredibly ashamed of ourselves.
Oh, something that's popular. I don't even know what's popular now.
Fair enough.
I have a working 1930 refrigerator. I'm not current. I'm lucky the squirrel ain't died to keep me on the internet.
Good answer, and that was fidget spinners was the first.
Yes.
Out of his mouth, and I was like, yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I saw that, and I said, well, I can't say that. It was done yesterday. Oh, I don't even know what's pop. You know what? Maybe all these videos. I noticed they're doing like gummy and slime food.
Yeah.
I keep seeing that show. I follow a few people that do funny stuff like magicians and this, but they seem to be going back to they're making like gummy food and then slime food and stuff like that. And I said, okay, that's just when I skip it to come back when they got something more interesting.
Okay, for sure. So move on to what about a movie and it can be all the way back from childhood. It can be something you saw yesterday. What is a scene in a movie that scarred you?
Oh, that scarred me?
Hmm?
I don't know if it scarred me so much, but I know the leg sinking to the bottom of the ocean when Jaws bit it off. And they just followed the leg that was like more, from foot to above the knee, and it just slowly sank down and hit the bottom of the ocean and fell over. Because I was sitting on my dad's lap because I was that little, and in the movie theater when we saw that, and maybe why we don't like sharks. I don't know.
But we really did more than a generation. Growing up on the beach, I always thought about that triangle scene. Hit in the water.
This is the caveman, Bubba and Milo, and it says, "I figured it out, Milo. If we stay on this raft, we don't have to run from dinosaurs on land every day." Do you see the fin?
Yeah, that's great.
Because I got that from the Megalodon movie that's coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys didn't know, there is a gigantic prehistoric shark movie coming out that's got Jason Statham in it. It's called Meg, and what are you gonna say?
The other movie, and it didn't scar me so much, but I did get beside my dad's chair to watch it during certain parts. Did you ever see Rankin Bass Hobbit?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, I saw it when I was 5. And there were some scenes that were like, okay, I'm gonna watch it from the side of the chair. Okay, now I can come out and finish watching it. And but I love that movie. So it didn't really scar me, but although my oldest niece said the Red Bull on The Last Unicorn scarred her.
I've never seen The Last Unicorn. I feel like that's big
oh,
my nerd fandom. Everybody talks. Is it an anime movie?
huh?
Is it anime or is it Rankin and Bass?
It's Rankin Bass.
I thought it might have been.
It's excellent. I named one of my cats after the haphazard wizard on there, Smendrick. But at the time, I couldn't remember it because we didn't have VCRs, and I named my cat Smedrick. But
yeah, you can definitely see that Rankin Bass style in the characters. I'm gonna sit down and watch this after we get.
yes, it says this is a dragon. It speaks 17 languages badly, suffers from the gout, and breathes fire now and then, especially at little children that poke it, little boy.
I love Naw's answer, man. I think that was thinking outside the box. That's a very specific
theme. Yes.
Guy yesterday, he had a great interview that I did, but his answer was like movies where dogs get hurt. Like,
yeah.
What scene from when the dog got hurt?
Yeah. What if it's, I mean, were you sad at Cujo getting hurt? He should be allowed to maul them people. He's a dog.
So, all right. This is where we're getting into the good stuff. Are aliens real, Andy?
I've got some friends that I think could prove that fact. I put it this way: it's more fun to imagine they are than they're not. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say, for now, until you prove me otherwise, yes, we're going to go with aliens are real because I got too many of them in my comics.
Yeah. To give them short shrift. Okay, so what about ghosts? Are ghosts real?
Ghosts, that's a good question. Ghosts could be, I think, are real. It's like, okay, why are you hanging around? But then again, it might just be like, you know what? We're just coming to chill a little bit, But then you got to wonder if it's, you got to say, is this a ghost or is it a demon pretending to be a ghost so it can mess you up?
I like how you kind of divided that down a little bit. So, supernatural entities exist.
Yeah, supernatural things exist. In fact, for all we know, Bigfoot is actually a demon pretending to be a hairy ape because, let's face it, if it's a demon coming out of the woods, going, I'm going to eat you, it's like, I'm going to run away. But if it's a big hairy ape throwing rocks at you, trying to be your friend, it's like, oh, I'm going to follow this and take pictures and dedicate my life over it. And the demon goes, he thinks I'm an ape.
Just curious, are you sure that those teeny boppers didn't think you were big?
They could have. They all said Zach Galifianakis, but I do have the whole Bubba Squatch thing. I got that nickname in Jackson, and it's spread throughout the state. I'm a Bubba Squatch now.
All right, last question. Will robots literally inherit the earth?
No, they're going to take it. They're not going to inherit. They're going to take it. I say in the future, apes do not rule the planet. They just rule 2/3 of it, and the robots have the other third.
Absolutely. I like it. Yeah, it's getting closer and closer to a reality. So what is next? Conventions on the horizon?
Do what?
Any conventions on the horizon?
Pensacon will be the next one. I will definitely be at Pensacon. I will be in the Artist Alley. And after that, my next planned thing will be first Saturday in May at 3 Alarm Comics in Biloxi, Free Comic Book Day.
All right, nice.
And after that, they haven't announced Hattiesburg dates yet, but they did do a trailer saying 3 is coming.
Good. I'm looking forward to that one. We had fun at both of the previous Southern Geek Fest. So love the people putting it on over there. It's a great Facebook as well. So just so you know, listeners, Pensacon is returning on February 23rd through the 25th. Come out, support local artists. Come out and support local talent. There are tons and tons of great celebrity guests that are going to be there. There are many, many talented artists that are going to be there. And I'm going to be there.
We are both gonna be there. We'll dance.
Talented people and me. You are you get to be in the artist segment. But yeah, guys, so definitely come out, say what's up to us if you see us out there. Andy, where can we find you other than on BubbleWorldComics.com? You got a social media place you want to send us?
Yeah, well, actually, you can find it all on that website because I've got the Twitter, I've got the Facebook, I got the YouTube, I've got the Instagram, I've got the magazine. So I made the front page of BubbleWorldComics.com as just links to everything, including the comic that arrives that goes there every week. So you can just go to that one place and click all the others. But if you go to Bubble World Comics with the X at the end .weebly, WEEBLY.com, same site, but when you click the links and it's just BubbleWorldComics.com, your browser does not show the actual addresses. Because you're going from that, you have to go from BubbleWorldComics.weebly.com.
Okay.
To see if you want to save any of the addresses, because like if you're on my Instagram and you got there through Bubble World Comics without the Weebly in address, if you hit refresh, you're not going to be refreshed on the Instagram page. You're going to be refreshed back to the Bubble World page.
Understood. Okay, very cool. Good thinking though, to put it all in that one place. That way you don't have to say the whole spiel every time.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, thanks for your time. Obviously, it's been fun as always.
Yes.
We're going to have to find some puppet collaboration to do in the future.
Yes, puppets everywhere.
Thank you, Andy's brother, for stopping by to check this out. Wonder if it ever cleared up the sound thing.
It sounds a little better. See, I've noticed, I didn't know if it's just my computer or not, is like would drop down and up from time to time.
Yeah, a little bit on mine too. It might be Hangouts, but yeah, Andy, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to your day. Can't wait to see the next comic strip you got out. And until next time, be terrible.
Be terrible.